This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop. Get real.
Welcome to DBL. It is me with the two boys. How you guys doing?
Good.
Or men, gentlemen.
There we go.
Cheers. Cheers to you, and cheers to everyone at home watching.
All right, let's. Wine in there?
No. It was coffee.
Who cheers with coffee?
I do. Okay. It's a new thing I'm starting. Anywho, let's get to what everyone and their mother is talking about. Country singer Jason Aldean. Have you heard of this? He's facing a ton of criticism over a video for his song, Try That in a Small Town. Now, this song is so controversial that CMT has even pulled the video, from its rotation. Now, the video shows images of serious conflict between protesters and police and flag burning. Part of it was filmed outside a Tennessee courthouse that was the site of a famous lynching, and it also used footage from Black Lives Matter protests. Let's take a look at that music video that was banned.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't.
So, Jason responded to criticism saying, quote, "There is not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it. And while I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far." He went on to say the song refers to the feeling of a community that I had growing up, where we took care of our neighbors, regardless of differences or background or beliefs. Now, singer Sheryl Crow had a very different take, tweeting, "There is nothing small town or American about promoting violence. You should know better than anyone, having survived a mass shooting. This is not American or small town-like. It's just lame." Now, Jason was on stage during the Las Vegas mass shooting, if you didn't remember, that left 58 people dead and over 500 people injured. What do we think of the song, the lyrics? It's all about if you try this with burning the flag, or you try to sucker punch someone in a small town, you're not going to get away with it. You know, we have our guns out and we're ready. Talk to me about your feelings, your first feelings on that, Jeff.
Well, I'll just
jump in, Al.
I will jump in and just say it's so interesting. He pulled the footage from the BLM protest, cops being attacked, but he had to go past the January 6th footage. There's a lot of footage of people from small towns attacking cops. I'm wondering why that didn't make the video. I mean, if you're making a video about trying to unite people, I don't make videos, Jeff, but I don't know if my first clip would be something on fire. Yeah. I might show two kids walking in a park or something. I think that this is a direct message to his base. And I mean, if you think about the way politics is, it's not about converting the Jeffs or the Als or the Tories. It's about bringing your base out. And so why would music be any different? I think that this is a siren song to his followers saying, hey, I'm on your side. And let's not forget those protests they were showing was because we all just watched a black man be strangled on TV. Let's not forget that that was 3.5 years ago. So there has to be some context to that. I didn't understand with the smash and grab jewelry.
Yeah.
Is he saying that there's no
There's
theft?
looting. I think he was referencing looting during all of this Black Lives Matter protest and was trying to allude to that, is what I think is happening there. Jeff, what was your take? And also the banning of it.
I think this is his brand, right? Kind of like to what Al was saying. Kind of like Trump has his brand. You might not like Trump. You might not like Jason Aldean, but they stand for something that has gone too far. I think that's what the notion is in people's minds. I don't think he cares if you like his songs or not. You can't cancel him. We're past that, right? He's got his base. He's always going to have an audience, and we're talking about him, right? And us talking about it and maybe denouncing the song or CMT polling it makes it more taboo. What happens to more taboo stuff? It gets more popular. This will rise up the charts because people will start to like it because people are banning it. I'm not for extremists on either side. I'm more for uniting people and showing positivity. I know that's lame, but I'm over the spot where we're picking sides. Like,
why would that be lame?
Because nobody wants to do that. They rather argue. They rather say, "Are you Team Aldean? Because I'm going to denounce you and you should be canceled." It doesn't. People just want to put other people down. They don't want to work to get better because that's too hard for people to unite. They want to take sides and protect their side, and that's what Jason's doing in this song. He's taking a side, and people who are on his side are going to protect that side.
And they'll support it financially. I mean, don't forget, we're what, year and a half, 2 years out from Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
And as soon as he had his his escapades. His songs shot up the charts.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken any damage from that, really. If anything, it's enhanced his career. He's still a household name.
Right.
And so I think, you know, the business model of racism is what I was literally thinking about this week. First of all, what a weirdo. I'm driving around thinking about the business model of racism.
It's interesting.
It's, you know,
it's a nuanced thought.
But it's so interesting. I don't think that Jason Aldean cares one way or the other about black. When's the last time he's encountered a black person in real life?
What would you say about him singing about something he knows as opposed to other music that they sing about what they know? What would you say to that?
That's a great question. I would say that saying try that in a small town is an allusion to try what happened in the cities with the protests here, and there would be violence. I don't think that of all the locations that they could have shot that video, they picked that infamous spot that a lynching took place. If you look at the visuals of it, the visuals of like almost like the lit, not pitchforks, what do you call those when you just have fire on the... Yeah, it visually represents something, because everything, nobody that's making a music video is getting paid that much to make a video. That means something. If you and Jordan shot a video at your house, the videographer would make sure that the things represented in the background meant something to your journey, maybe something, you know, from Big Brother, like a little Easter egg back there. So I do believe that everything that was done on purpose. But like you said, Jeff, it's for his base. He's not trying to win anybody over. He's trying to make sure his base stays right there so he can keep his hand in their pocket, and it's working.
Yeah, there's a way. I get his point. I get what he's trying to do, right?
Yeah,
I think we all do. I think we all kind of get that message. There's a way you could do that in a way you still get your point across with the same song, but do it in a different way. Like you said, that courthouse, very specific. Those visuals, very specific, but it's triggering. It gets you interested. It gets you like, I remember that time. And I get what he's trying to say, but this isn't the time for it.
Right.
This isn't, in my opinion. He can do whatever he wants, but in my opinion, I would lead in a different way.
Absolutely. And instead of that courthouse, and I don't want to cut you off, Tori, instead of that courthouse, I'm going to ask you, what if he had chosen the backdrop of the church in Charleston, South Carolina, where those 9 parishioners were murdered?
Absolutely right.
Think about what that would do in terms of like pushing your vision of unity, if that's what you were really trying to do. The courthouse, especially in the South, represents where a lot of miscarriages of justice, and I put that in air quotes.
Yeah, there was a huge lynching there. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Yes, and the things that happened in the courtroom probably were not great as well. So, like, there's a reason he chose a courtroom rather than any other backdrop.
Right. I mean, let's just be honest. What I'm mad about is, let's be honest, he can have whatever he wants. I am for freedom of speech, for even speech I don't agree with, which I completely disagree with this entire song.
I disagree with your speech.
Well, okay, he calls himself the good old boys. We all know what those are references to. The church, the BLM, these are all visual statements that he's clearly making. What I don't like is for him to be like, there's no mention of race. What's your problem? Give me a break. Don't insult us to not misunderstand what a good old boy is and a Tennessee courthouse with a lynching outside of it. You clearly are speaking to your base. Own up. Say that's what you're doing, and don't say, like, I didn't say a black person in it.
Well, I would argue that his base probably doesn't think a good old boy's a bad thing.
Give me a break. They have Confederate
I'm saying,
flags
that's what
on
they
the thing.
think.
I think that's absolutely wrong.
Absolutely.
A good old boy is a call for racism, if you've ever heard of a phrase, and they all know that that's a code. It's a code in my mind, and I just think that is beyond insulting to say it's not about race. Coming up on DBL, our interview with a lawyer who went viral for offering a $5,000 reward to anyone who can find her a husband. And the actor strike continues as Mandy Moore reveals she was paid 81-cent checks in streaming residuals. Do these high-profile celebrities add credibility or hurt the cause? Stay tuned.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm going to have a conversation about what's happening now. I know. Was I wrong on Good Old Boys? You can tell me.
No,
I was wrong.
I would argue.
That's in the song, but
it's definitely and definitely Good Old Boys means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The Dukes of Hazzard was just some
We've
good
had
old
a
boys.
Confederate
and
flag
they
on the
were
car.
the Dukes of Hazzards were thieves. They were bootleggers.
I don't think it can be misinterpreted.
Well, it was different at different times.
Yeah.
It had different.
But even now, John Schneider is
could
went
be
on
like,
our
oh,
show
that's my
saying
buddy Luke. He's a
Confederate
good old
means
boy.
something completely different
Almost
from
like the
him.
way
That's
Goodfellas.
not-
You say
pushback
somebody's a
to
good
that,
fellow in the mafia, like he's one of us.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. That's what, I get where you're coming from,
Yeah.
but I think that
It's
you
not
know.
quite as absolute, probably, but
This is a big country. Things mean different things in different places, but I could see where Tori would get that, and I could see.
I think good old boy is certainly a code for.
I'm sure in most places you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just tap it? Yeah, okay, sorry.
Hey, Tori?
Maybe
Yeah.
not
So
everywhere,
for this tree thing that you can call to,
Tap,
so the
tap,
trees,
tap
we have a
in.
before and after.
Oh,
Yeah, I know
Chris,
all
we're
that.
going to talk about residuals. I got a residual check from Byron Allen Comics Unleashed. Randomly, yeah, from 2006. It was like for $200. I was like,
Really?
so
I
random.
wonder where that aired.
They did it on
Where did it air?
themselves. Was this
Oh,
shady
it
or not?
aired. I'll tell you this, Byron
I
Allen.
mean, just recently, why'd you get a residual for it?
I have no idea.
It aired somewhere.
I
You
got
know
2
what
cents
show
for
I
it. Mind of
did? They got
Mencia.
so many, not a lot of residuals, but a lot was those shows that would come on Saturdays,
Yeah.
like Celebrity Oops, where
Yeah.
it'd be like, you know,
With talking
Selma
heads.
Hayek would fall down some steps, and then a comic would be like, guess
You'd
she
have that
won't
floating
be.
head.
Yeah, I did a bunch of those.
Welcome back to DBL. Some high-profile celebrities are lending their support to the ongoing actors' strike. Bette Midler was seen walking the picket line outside the Netflix office in New York. Kevin Bacon and his wife Kara Sedgwick joined striking actors in New York. And Christian Slater picked up a picket sign outside the Paramount building in Times Square. But a lot of people are talking about Mandy Moore, who told The Hollywood Reporter she received tiny 81-cent checks after her hit show This Is Us, we all know that, started streaming on Hulu. Some people criticized Mandy for speaking out because she's coming from a place of privilege. Mandy responded, saying she was only trying to raise the issue of residuals because she relied on them during her lean years when she wasn't working. Now, speaking of privilege, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has reportedly received $50 million for his upcoming Christmas movie, Red One. It is now the highest upfront payday in Hollywood history. Certainly, gentlemen, an uncomfortable time to be making all of that money.
Would you call us?
I said gentlemen.
Yes, you
When
did.
I said it, you flinched. I'm like, darn it.
Just the joy with one of us.
Yeah, I love
Gentlemen.
it. It's my
If I keep
favorite.
going for another 10 minutes,
It's
you're
my
like, I'm
favorite.
good. I
So
don't care
annoying.
what happens.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
not a great look for The Rock. He's between a rock and a hard place, if you will, with the amount of money he's making with the strike happening at the same time.
You got a better laugh when you just screwed up.
I
It was a
know.
better laugh, yeah. But yeah, not great timing for The Rock, especially when we put out the numbers of like these CEOs. And I keep bringing Bob Iger in just because he's probably the most famous one.
yeah.
And he's making about $30 million a year, right? And he's got a lot of different irons in the fire, so to speak. The Rock's doing one movie, it's about a year's salary, he's getting $50 million. For the actors, this is not a good look.
Right.
Okay, this is
Right.
not a great look. The CEOs are like, well, your boy just made $20 million more than I do, and I run this whole company. So that's not a great look. As far as Mandy Moore goes, the 81-cent checks and things like that, I receive little checks like that from just appearances that I've done throughout my career
Have
as
you
well.
ever got a .001?
I did for Mind of Mencia,
Oh, there you-
.001.
No, I've never got that. But there's a bar in Los Angeles I've talked about on the show. It's called Residuals. And if you have a check under $1, you get a free drink, but you have to give them their check.
Yes.
So you only get one. But whatever. That's a whole Hollywood thing. That's a little inside baseball. But where was my point? I have no idea. I forgot what I was saying.
You made a great point. That
I was going to talk about the actors side of things, but whatever. Go ahead.
Well, you are an actor, so talk about it.
And
I
there
forgot what I was going to
you were
say. I
talking
had a
about
good point.
streaming model, I think.
Oh, that's
changing.
exact. Thank
I
you
know.
so
You're
much.
very
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
I think
Yes.
Gentleman threw you off.
It did. That's what I was saying. As far as the actors go, this is my whole point, right? And for people out there, this is a hosting thing. This has nothing to do with acting. People think we crossed the picket line. It has nothing to do with that. But I'm taking up the whole thing. My thing is they need to figure out streaming residuals because they're not giving out the numbers, so the actors and agents don't know how much that is, and they need to figure out AI right now what that means for actors in the future if you're using their likeness or their voice. Actors need to stay strong on that and figure this out.
I'll have to interrupt you really
Please.
quickly because
say anything yet.
There is a tree gate going on. I want to show you this. People are saying that Universal cut down these trees that were being used as shade for the picketers, right? It's 90-degree heat. Look at on the right. This is what happened after. They are saying Universal trimmed it for safety reasons. However, the city's controller is saying no tree trimming permits were acted or issued at all for Universal Studios.
Especially not tree trimming like that.
Right?
Yeah, I'll just say this, Jeff, really quickly to push back on your point slightly with The Rock making the $50 million. You made a great point with the Netflix that they don't give you the numbers. Every other place does, and they looked at those numbers and they go, these are the numbers The Rock brings in. And so at this point, it's just a math equation, like you're getting divorced. They just figure out what you bring to the box office. No different than if your agent was like, hey, we look in the stands and we see 50 we love Jeff Schroeder for quarterback signs. Your agent can go and say that we're bringing these to your stadium.
Right.
It's just about butts in seats, and he puts butts in seats. We got to go.
Very,
we
very
gotta
true.
go.
We do have to go. Gentlemen, that was a great discussion. We'll be right back.
More than a half dozen Americans are recovering after contracting malaria from mosquitoes in Florida and Texas.
Malaria is rare in the U.S., and the CDC says they're the first cases in 2 decades. Some Twitter users, including this post with more than 6 million views, claim the cases are linked to a Bill Gates-funded mosquito project. So, let's verify. Our sources are the CDC, UK biotech company Oxitec, health officials in Florida and Texas, the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Oxitec does a lot of research on mosquitoes, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation provides funding for 2 of its overseas research projects on malaria, which is exclusively spread by the Anopheles mosquito. One of Oxitec's projects not funded by the Gates Foundation involves genetically modifying a different type of mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, so it can't reproduce. Aedes aegypti can spread dengue fever, Zika, and yellow fever, but not malaria. Oxitec is currently testing whether its genetic modifications can help control the mosquito population in Florida and reduce disease. All of our sources say it's impossible for the Aedes aegypti to spread malaria. So, no.
The Gates Foundation is not funding a malaria mosquito project in Florida. The research that is being done in the state uses a breed of mosquitoes that can't spread malaria and isn't being paid for by the foundation.
With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
The bet/offer is if you introduce me to my husband and I marry him, I will give you $5,000. I don't have to stay married to him for long. I can get divorced in 20 years. It doesn't matter. But if you introduce me to a man that I walk down the aisle and get married to, I will give you $5,000.
Welcome back to DBL. The dating game has definitely changed from chance encounters like in rom-coms to swiping for your future. It depends on that. So earlier we spoke to Eve Tilly Colson, who's offering $5,000 to anyone who can find her a husband. Take a look. Please welcome to the show, Eve Tilly Colson. Yes.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. Okay, I love this.
Yeah, me too.
I love everything about the idea of just putting yourself out there. Now, what prompted you to first put yourself out there like this, and were you surprised by how much attention it's got?
Sure. So I had always kind of said to all my friends, you know, you guys probably know someone, like, don't you have a friend? Don't you have a brother? And they would consistently tell me yes, but they'd never actually set me up with anybody. So one day after a couple glasses of wine, I was just kind of like, okay, I'll sweeten the pot a little for $5,000. And they laughed, but then that kind of just started me saying that to them every, a few months when we talk about it. And I think that, when you've been married for a while, you forget what it's like to be single. And so I just wanted to give them a little bit of an incentive to maybe, help me out.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So how many dates have you been on, and what's the vetting process been like?
So I would say I go through phases, right? But I would say I try to go on at least, a date every week or two. I think it's important to go out with people who you might not necessarily from the onset think are your type. And it also just helps you become a better dater and become better at listening and, putting yourself out there and feeling more comfortable.
All right, Eve, I got a question for you because I got a buddy in Los Angeles, very well off. He's a lawyer, so I'm trying to partake in that $5,000, by the way.
Right, love it.
What I want to know is who pays for these dates?
It varies. I would say that if they ask me on a date and they tell me we're going to X restaurant or X bar and getting drinks, and they pick the time, the location, and sometimes they even order. For the most part, they pick up the tab. I would say sometimes it's something more casual, like you notice that you're, having banter with someone. Maybe you see at the dog park regularly and you decide to grab a drink, and it's a little bit romantic. And then I would say, it's normally split.
Oh, okay. I just wondering how that works out.
Okay, this question just for me. How'd you come up with the 5,000? Like, what was, because it could have been 4, could have been 1,000,
Right.
I'm sure. I'm curious.
That's a good question.
I feel like it had to be enough that people took it seriously and enough that it was like significant, right? But also, if you think about it, like people who buy nice like golden retriever pure breed dogs pay about 5,000. So it's not so much that it's like out of the realm of possibility or comprehension. And I didn't want it to be all about the money. So I thought more than 5,000, it would start to become a little bit all about the money.
Okay, I'm getting real serious about this. What are some essential qualities you're looking for in a guy?
You want in too.
I do want in. I'm good at this. I am good at
You're a little
this.
yenta, that's right.
I love this. Well, you also get an invite to the wedding. So, it's like
Okay,
it's a
now,
tour.
here we go. Now, throw in the firstborn child and I can be the godmother. And we're talking.
So I'm 5'10". I get a lot of hate for this, but I would like him to be 5'10" or taller.
Okay.
Largely because I find that some men are a little bit insecure about my height and they don't necessarily want me to wear heels or,
But child,
and
you
that
do
is
not
behavior.
have to qualify this. This is what you
This
want.
is your thing.
Be very clear.
Okay, I appreciate that. So 5'10" or taller, and then I describe my perfect man or ideal man as like the perfect wedding date. He's gonna check in on me, but can also work the room, can talk about a lot of topics, has good manners, isn't gonna do anything that I would have to be worried about or embarrass me. It could dance with my grandmother, take a shot with my brother, just like kind of that well-rounded, charismatic man. But I played soccer for the majority of my life, so I would love someone who was into sports, into the outdoors, and definitely wants kids and a family.
And what about in terms of like a career?
Yeah, so I'm probably the most open of all my friends on this one. I don't care what he does or how much he makes as long as he's passionate about it and has ambition.
DBL Nation, don't you think you want in on this too? If you know someone that might be just a great fit for Eve, send a DM. We're slipping the DMs to
Sliding
at
in
Eve.
the DMs.
Oh,
not
sliding?
Slipping in them.
Okay.
Not banana peels.
Whatever. At EB Tilly on TikTok or Instagram. Also check out Eve's new dating app. It's at thearrow.app. Thank you so much, Eve.
Just to qualify, if you do find a husband through this show, we get a little piece of the action or what?
Yeah, we
5,000 your way.
There we go. But I don't want to come to the wedding, though. I just want the cash.
That's so good. I'll be at the wedding. Mazel tov. Thank you so much, Eve. We'll be right back. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hysterical.
A viral TikTok with more than 33 million views shows a person using a cup of gasoline to eliminate a wasp's nest. But is this really a safe way to kill these pesky pests? Let's verify. Our sources are the Texas A&M School of Integrated Pest Management and Jonathan Larson, an entomologist with the University of Kentucky. Gasoline is dangerous because it's highly flammable and emits harmful fumes. It's one reason why gas stations are outdoors. Larson tells Verify what you're seeing in the video are gas fumes suffocating and paralyzing the wasps, but adds there's a lot that could go wrong.
They're seconds away from everything going wrong, I would say, and ending up doused in gasoline and covered in wasp stings.
Plus, even if you are successful, you then need to properly dispose of the gas at a hazardous waste facility. Texas A&M says if the gas ends up on the ground, it could create a fire hazard and contaminate the soil. So, no, Holding a cup of gasoline up to a wasp's nest is not a safe way to kill wasps. Instead, use an aerosol wasp spray, which instantly freezes and kills wasps from a safe distance. Whether you verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Aspartame is an artificial sweetener and is most commonly used as a sugar substitute in foods and beverages like diet drinks. But is it safe for you to consume? Open any article and you may find conflicting information. We took these concerns straight to the experts. Our source is Dr. Danielle Wyckoff, Director of Tox Strategies, Health Science Practice, and Dale Shepard, MD, an oncologist with the Cleveland Clinic. Wyckoff noted aspartame is used in many food products a lot of people might not even know contain it.
It can also be in chewing gums, yogurts, and other food types.
Wyckoff says it's a relatively simple compound that our body is able to metabolize quickly. And despite it being in a bunch of things, Wyckoff says the study shows aspartame is okay to ingest in moderation.
This means that globally, regulatory agencies charged with evaluating food safety continue to consistently conclude that aspartame is a safe food ingredient.
Dr. Shepard says the agency has 4 categories it uses to rank items for safety. Aspartame now falls into the possible carcinogenic to humans category, which means it ranks below known carcinogens like alcohol and tobacco. The agency says this falls under this particular classification because more research is needed to prove its harm. So our experts say consuming aspartame is generally safe, but too much of anything isn't good.
I think the bottom line is that we don't have good evidence that you should go to your refrigerator and clear it of all the diet sodas. Drink diet sodas in moderation.
Dr. Shepard says it's safe to consume 40 milligrams of aspartame per kilogram of body weight a day. So this means an adult who weighs 154 pounds would need to drink more than 9 to 14 cans of Diet Coke with aspartame a day to go over the acceptable daily intake. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
After record temps recently, staying cool outdoors is something you should keep in mind. Here are some easy ways to stay cool with Sunsetter. First, stay hydrated all day and try to take a water break every single day. Cook outside early instead of in the afternoon. Sunsetter is America's #1 best-selling awning with affordable custom features without the custom price. So spend more time outside and get the best value with Sunsetter. It's been an industry leader for 30 years. Call 1-800-513-6851 or visit sunsetter.com for guaranteed pricing on American-made awnings built to last. Make sure you look for cooling centers in your area as well because it is hot out there.
Yes, and a good excuse to make some good homemade lemonade.
And you want to be the hero, you show up to a party, you bring a bag of ice.
You bring a bag of ice.
You bring a bag of
You're
ice.
ice, baby. That's exactly right. Thank you for watching. We will see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys. Ice,
Ice
baby.
is a big deal.
Yeah.